Hello everyone, it's me, John Lorden. Welcome to another episode of Itchy Mysteries. I think I've got a real special one for you today. Have you ever heard of a news segment from a different country being shown in theaters here in the US and even going on to win an Academy Award for Best Documentary? I haven't, but this one did exactly that back in the early 80s. It is called Just Another Missing Kid. It is about, it's kind of cool because it's almost like a brain scratch searchlight that turns into a brain scratch that turns into an episode of Case Cracked. It really has all the different aspects of the shows that I do every week. So I think that many of you brain scratchers out there are really going to enjoy this one. It is a story of a young man named Eric Wilson who goes missing. He is from Ottawa in Canada and decides to go on a cross-country road trip through the US to go meet up with his father, who is separated from his mother. His father lives in California, but he doesn't make it, and he is in a white VW camper bus. I don't know if they're called buses or campers, but you know what I'm talking about, those old Volkswagen. I guess it's a bus. And there's so many twists and turns in this story. Like I said, it starts off as a searchlight. It is pretty much a very compelling story about missing persons cases, about what families face when they are trying to raise attention around their cases or even get help from authorities, both local and the authorities in the area where he was supposedly traveling through, some of the walls that they hit in trying to get help. It is a bit of a commentary. Really, it's a big commentary on several aspects. All the way from law enforcement through the judicial system and everything in between, including a healthy dose of private investigator work, which is something I just mentioned in Searchlight that I released yesterday. This is a great movie for someone that isn't sure if they should hire a private investigator or not in their missing persons case. I hope that they will watch this film and maybe think twice about it, because you really get a good sense in this movie about what a PI can do versus what a normal police investigation can do. And quite honestly, the simple truth of it is PIs have, they don't have to stick to by the book rules like police officers do. They can kind of squeeze information out in a few different ways, maybe by acting like they are an insurance adjuster and not telling people they're actually a private investigator, using personal contacts within other companies to get information that the public can't normally get to. Really, really interesting stuff. And it's done by a show called The Fifth Estate, which is a Canadian news show. I don't know if it's still ongoing. I have seen it several times when researching stuff for you guys in terms of brain scratch shows. And I just really like the coverage that they do. It reminds me of what I believe good old journalism used to be like. I think there is, some people might say we have a few current news magazine shows that kind of come close to it. I don't know if they're really all that close to it. This is a case where these people really dig in. They interview all the right people. They take time to stage shots where they're basically showing you kind of recreations of what has happened. It is extremely well done. It definitely deserved its Academy Award. It's just a very strong piece overall. And that includes from how it's edited, the way that the story unfolds. It picks you up in one place, and I didn't know about this case before watching this, so it was really interesting to see how the case evolves, how the family's approach evolves, what they have to do to try to raise attention, to try to get help from people, little personal connections that they have to squeeze to try to shake up the authorities to do the right thing. It is full of these considerations that we talk about on a week-to-week basis on the brain scratch shows, but it's all in this one kind of neat package, and it will leave you with a bunch of questions, in particular probably some very tough questions about what you believe about our justice system and how effective it is. And it is a little frustrating for someone like me personally that looks into so many of these cases and hears about families complaining about certain aspects of the justice system, and to see that this was documented way back in, I think this was shot like somewhere around the late 70s, and then it won the Academy Award in 81, if I recall correctly. The case actually takes place in 1978, so it just leaves you with these very harsh questions. And if you are keeping up on current events, some of us are literally banging our heads saying, they haven't fixed anything. They haven't fixed anything. These same problems that were around 30, 40 years ago when it comes to cases like this and how they're handled are still around today. And because of that, this documentary is extremely valuable, I think, for anyone that is facing a missing persons case in particular. The strange thing about it is, if you are facing a case like this, it's not like you're going to sit down and say, well, I need to watch some documentaries about cases like this. I'm sure it would hurt extremely bad. So I'm hopeful that in doing, review shows like this, that I get the word out and people watch these types of things in advance. Just be aware of how these systems work, how people will sometimes try to avoid helping you. And there are some very strong examples in this of these kind of catch-22s that law enforcement will use. Well, if you tell me this, I might be able to help you. And then when you tell me that, nope, because you told me this, now I don't have to help you because of that. It is maddening. It's frustrating. But as usual, and one of the reasons why I enjoy in some way the work that I do, you see the resilience of people that care a lot about their family member. You see them just not let go and push for those answers that they so desperately need. And there's something kind of, I think it's like darkly inspirational about that. I don't wish to ever be in that situation, but there's something in me that feels a bit reserved, I guess, or appreciative is a better word, of the fact of knowing that people, when they are in those situations, start doing some pretty amazing things. And his family is certainly a good case point in that. You'll see them just really go to the ends of this earth to try to find out what happened to Eric and try to bring him home. So this is way up there in terms of documentaries I've reviewed. I could easily give this a 9 out of 10. In terms of it holding up, in terms of its age, I still think the cinematography is good. I think there's a lot of pretty visuals that are going on in here, but it is also, no doubt at this point, a period piece. You're going to see fashions you don't recognize and hairstyles you don't recognize, and it's a neat time capsule, which is something I can appreciate about documentaries, but not always everyone does. If you're one of those types of people that doesn't really like looking at these kind of time capsule pieces, I still think you should give this film the time, because the story that's being told in that time capsule piece applies just as much today as it ever did. It might actually apply more today. At the end of the film, I was really sitting there thinking, have things gotten better or worse since this happened? And there's something in my gut that says things have actually gotten worse, that cases actually slip through the cracks even easier nowadays than they did back then. I've seen some statistics about particularly about murder cases, and it seems like less and less of those are getting solved as time goes on. But it's just really going to leave you with so many questions. I have to highly recommend it. So 9 out of 10 very easily. Excellent production. Also, if you just want to see what good journalism is like, I would love for my channel to grow to the point where I could go on location and start doing things like this old form of journalism used to. I know that would be extremely challenging. Like, I really would need my channel to get to a pretty successful place and build up my team pretty substantially to be able to do things like that. But I do think one of us out here in the independent media space is going to tap back into that type of journalism, and it's going to be extremely successful because you recognize it when you see it. You can see that these people are looking for the truth, asking hard questions. They're not doing the fluff jobs that you see on interviews nowadays, where all the questions have been predetermined and given to the other person, and the other person says, I won't answer this, I won't answer that. There are some very tough questions put to these people in this documentary. And just the way the story is told, you know, the person that directed and edited this had a very firm grasp on the events and how they were going to tell this story. The narrative is extremely well constructed, probably better than I would say even some Hollywood movies are nowadays. So do yourself a favor, check out Just Another Missing Kid. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make it super easy for you. There is a version of this on YouTube, but I noticed during the second half of that version, the lip sync started sliding really, really badly, almost to the point where it looked like you were watching a foreign film that had been dubbed. There is also an official version that is hosted at the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation's website, cbc.ca. So I'm going to have both links down below. I'm going to put both because I'm not sure if cbc.ca will let you watch that video all over the world. So for those of you international brain scratchers out there, you might have to watch the YouTube version and just put up with the lip sync getting funky in the second half. But if you can watch the CBC version, it looks like it's a bit cleaner. So I would recommend that you probably check out that one. And that's an official posting of it. So we know that that link should work into the far future. So thank you so much for joining me here on Itchy Mysteries. I appreciate each and every one of you. And once again, hope you check this one out. This is really way up there. Have a great day, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you on the next show on the Lord Nerds channel.